Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coco McMillan Show. You may have seen her in Morocco, New York City, Los Angeles, California, Detroit, Philadelphia, Chicago, Las Vegas, Nevada. One of the background singers for Mickey Howard and the late, great Gerald Levert. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, the beautiful, the wonderful, the spectacular, Miss Coco McMillan.
Good evening, and welcome to the Coco McMillan Show, where we make it happen. I am so excited to be with you tonight. I hope that you have had a fantastic day. To God be the glory for everything that He's doing in your life, my life, for the show. I'm just so grateful that you decided to join me today. This is the talk show, an amazing virtual talk show that we feature our local and our national artists, our business owners, our social media network gurus, physical and mental health awareness. This show allows the guests the opportunity to discuss their career goals, their challenges, their product, their awareness, new opportunities, just everything about what they're doing. So we want you to bring your expertise to the show. Bring it to the show so people can be blessed just by your testimony. You never know. So we have designed this show just for you to come on and tell us all about what you're doing, what you're being through, because those things can help someone else. You feel me? It can help someone else. So we want you to be a part of the show. Listen, if you want to, please contact me at Coco McMillan Music at gmail.com. Again, that's Coco McMillan Music at gmail.com. I'm on all the social media platforms, so you can reach out to me. So go ahead and do that to be a part of the show. Again, we believe in sharing your journey. We believe in sharing your testimony to millions of souls out there. And we are so happy and so thankful and so grateful that we can do it virtually. So you have an opportunity to be on one of the best virtual talk shows ever. So listen, we are streaming live on the IBM network, on YouTube, on Facebook Live, on LinkedIn, on Roku. If you are in your house right now, you can go to Roku on Pod TV and download it, and you can see the actual podcast live on your big screen TV. So if you want to do that, you can do that as well. So go ahead and check out Roku and go to Pod TV Live, and you can watch the show there too. So I'm so excited about what's going on, what God is doing for the show. He's opening up many doors. We've had some wonderful guests on the last couple of weeks. We started the new year out with my pastor, Pastor Melvin Jackson. He started off the show last week, which was phenomenal. So shout out to my pastor for coming out, Pastor Melvin Jackson, First Lady Jackson, Mitchell's Grove Church. So thank you for opening up. And you know what the message was? You are next. So know that you are next in line for whatever that you've been praying for, whatever that you've been seeking. God is getting ready to do that in your life. So I'm here to encourage you tonight that it is done. You're next in line. So go ahead and give God some praise and some glory for your blessings that's coming your way. So I'm so grateful and so thankful. A shout out to Wayne Brooks again for the before Pastor was on. He brought in some guests, and it was an amazing show. And so we are glad we're back here tonight for part 2. The enemy has been trying all day. He's even been trying with the podcast tonight, but the devil gets no joy. He has no authority because this is kingdom based. Okay. So he has no authority. We're going to give God the praise and the glory anyway, in spite of all. So we are so grateful and so thankful My guest tonight, I'm so excited. We have, in the house tonight, we have Chucky Brown, we have Dr. Tanya Scott, we have Wayne Brooks, we have Jenna Law. I mean, we have them here. So we are just going to go ahead and jump in and go ahead and talk about the guest, bring my guest on. I'm not sure if Chucky is here yet. If someone could let me know if Chuck is here. If not, we can go ahead and start with our other guests. But while we're doing that, I want you to go ahead and put in the chat, if you're on there, where you're watching from, what you're doing. Go ahead and put all of that in the chat, and so we can say hello to you. And I see one of my girls here, Miss Jenna. Jenna.
Hi. Hey, how's it going, everybody? How's it going?
Yes, I'm so glad to see you again. Thank you so much for coming back.
Absolutely. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Oh my God. So, when the New Year came in, what were you doing, Gina? I mean, what was going on with you for New Year's Eve?
So I actually celebrated New Year's back home in Miami. With one of my closest friends, Florida, he actually did a big celebration at his house for New Year's. So that's what we did. We brought in the New Year's kind of like a family, which was
Yes.
really great. It was really
Oh,
good.
amazing. So, did you set any type of New Year resolutions and things, or affirmations or things like that? Did you do any of that this year?
Oh my God, I did a vision board, which I've been doing forever, right? I don't know that I believe in resolutions. I believe in lifestyle change. So for me, it was all about, just like my goals and how I plan to execute them, and more about just giving gratitude for what God have already done. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us didn't make it. A lot of people didn't make it. So I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful.
Yes, yes. And you're right. You're so right about that. I think about, during the Christmas holidays and, during the New Year's, me working at the Amtrak station, we see so many suicides and
Oh yeah,
things going on, people taking their life because, of the holidays. And, and my heart still goes out to Twitch. My heart still goes out to his family and his kids.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm thankful again that God is, still working, for us, and we're here, we're live, we're breathing. So, Jen, I've been following you, ever since we had that last interview. You just kind of wowed everybody on the show, doing some amazing things with your business line, your line. So I want you to tell us now about, I know that you have a candle line, you have a journal, your new book. Come on, let's talk to the people about that.
My candle line, like I shared last time, or let me just share in case people are new to the show or didn't hear me last time. But my candle line is in honor of my mom. I lost my father, and I have my mom, and I just always want to daily just honor her. And so it was something, she's always been one of those warm people, and I've always liked candles. So I was like, well, why not name it Nana Flows, right? So her name is Flo.
Ooh,
So that's the candle line, and it's part of Bella Couture's luxury line. I tested and went through so many scents. I just wanted the right fragrance. I wanted enough of the fragrance. I wanted to make sure that when you smelled it, it didn't cause anybody that had allergies to be, their
right.
lungs to be inflamed. So all of that was so important to me because I wanted it to really represent my mom, right? And I know that these are all the things that she cared about as well. So that's actually the candle line, and it's actually growing as we we've spoken. It's growing. And then the journal was kind of developed because my son was like, Mom, I was going through a divorce, and he said, you still encouraging people, Mom. Like, how are you able to have the strength? And I said, babe, one thing about life is going life, right? And so why would I want to see anybody else miserable or
Right.
unhappy? And he was like, well, all the things you telling me and telling us, like, why don't you write it? And so I said, you know what? I love to journal anyway. So why not? So I dedicated the book to my youngest son. And I just began to like open up and write scriptures and affirmations and things that like actually brought me through. Look at Wayne.
Look away.
And it was And it was just a blessing, to be able to even dedicate that to him. And so I wanted to do the journal prior to the book, because the book, I wanted to make sure I was healed, right? I wanted to make sure I could speak from a healed perspective, not only because my children will read it, but my ex-husband's parents. Like, I didn't want to hurt anybody in it. I just wanted to make sure I help people. So the book is almost completed. So it'll be coming soon.
Good. So, for someone that's just listening, Jenna, when you talk about your journal and the book, if there's someone out there that's, trying to, put everything together, trying to start a journal, trying to do a book, write a book, what are some of the ways they can get started doing this? Like, what are some of the things they need to do to, just to even start preparing for the journal and the book?
Well, definitely pick up Your Future is Bright, which is my journal that I have, that I put out. And actually, in this, I tell you that you're either going to come out with a book in the end, or at least something to help someone else, right? Because it's plenty of room in here to write, and it's room in here, and it gives you like something to write based on, like if, for instance, the first page, right? It says, God is with her and she will not fall. Psalms 46:5, right? So that's the first page. So then you can say to yourself, what does that song say to me in my personal situation? And begin to write from that perspective. So I would just tell a person to pick it up and start writing. And you never know where that's going to lead you. And it may actually lead into a manuscript.
Right.
But it definitely will lead into helping you and someone else.
And and I believe that thoroughly, because I think too, you can even learn about yourself when you begin to read and write things down, and knowing your next step, you begin to learn who you are as a person. And I'm so grateful that we're coming together to share this knowledge and to help our sisters and brothers, with what they're doing in their life. Because a lot of times, the Bible says you someone will be healed and blessed by your testimony.
Absolutely.
So know what's going on with you, and we're being candid and 100%, and just really transparent about it. We never know how it can help someone's life. So how can they get the book? How can they get the journal?
So it's on Amazon, but you can also, if you want an autograph copy, you can either come by the salon or a salon and boutique or a galleria, or you can contact me either via bellabeautycollection.com, or my information, my phone number and everything is on my site. They can call me and let me know, or DM me, and I will make sure that I either send it to them, ship it to them myself personally with an autograph copy, or I can bring it to them where they can come by.
Awesome. So you also have, besides that, you also have like the lip gloss line and the hair bundle line. Oh, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so yeah, the lip gloss line was the first part of Bella, outside of the bundles. The bundles was the initiation of Bella, but then the lip gloss line came because my daughter, her senior year of high school, we found a lump on her breast, and I was praying, and we was going through all kind of stuff, and she loved lip gloss, and to this day she still loves lip gloss. And so I said, okay, God, this praying is just not helping. Like, she was just depressed. I said, what can I do to, get her mind off of what she's going through? And so I said, look, I need you to help me develop you a line, because your mama all about leaving legacy. So like, help me with this. So it really got her mind off of it, and she's kind of like let it go by the wayside a little bit, but I'm keeping it going because I know one day she's going to look back and she's going to know what we've done together, and how it helps our relationship, how it helped her during a hard time in her life, and just know that her mom just wanted to leave something for her and her kids, and
Oh, man, that's amazing. And then she's gonna look back and like, this is something that I created with my mom, even when she's telling her kids. So that's the legacy that we always want to leave. So you can purchase that as well at your shop as well.
You can purchase that on bellabeautycollection.com or at the salon. Yes. Right now we're out of stock of a lot of the lip glosses, but we're waiting on actually a shipment to come in. So it should be in within the next week or two.
Okay. Awesome. And one other thing, you've worked with the wounded warriors in your community. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I actually work with a nonprofit out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's called One Life, and it's similar to Wounded Warriors. So one of my closest friends, he's an ex-Navy SEAL, but he still works for the DoD. He's actually the ambassador for entertainment for the United States government. Works closely with President Biden and some of your higher ups there. And he brought me on seeing my passion for veterans, and so right now we're working on stem cells for veterans, fertility for veterans. Bella has an opportunity to actually, I'm servicing one veteran per quarter,
Yes.
just helping them with lifestyle, with hair, with skin, and, just kind of like loving on them. So that's what I'm doing with them. So it's a huge organization, and we're doing a lot of work for the veterans.
Wow, you just wow me. You're so amazing, Jenna, because I'm sitting here listening to all the things that you're doing and that you're involved in. How do you have time for you? How do you make, what is the work-life balance like?
What is the work-life balance like? Honestly, I try not to put myself involved in anything that I don't love and that it's not a call for me, right? And so I feel like in doing so, I kind of feel like work is not really work, right? I love loving on people. So as long as I stay in the capacity of what God has called me to do, it's just never work. It's just all about, like, I love it. Like, I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, it's about becoming my highest self. Like, God has called all of us here for a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And the purpose it's just not for me or you or whatever. It's so much bigger. And so each day my prayer is in living life is, God, help me to become the highest person you call me to be. And in that, it's in serving people. It's not just, like I said, it's not just about me. It's about servitude. So I guess that's how I balance it, because it's not really anything to balance.
Wayne, I love her spirit. This is, oh my God, it's absolutely phenomenal. I want to ask you something, and Wayne, I'm gonna jump to you in just a few minutes, but I want to bring up something because I had this question to me a couple of weeks ago. This is a very serious issue. I know we talked about mental health before, but this one is talking about domestic violence. And I had someone to contact me to say, I'm going through a domestic violence. I really don't want anyone to know, so I won't call any names or anything. I really don't want anyone to know. I want to know, how can I get out the situation? And so, if you've never been in that situation, you don't know. So you want to ask and, get the advice, from people. But domestic violence is real. And I know that a lot of people are suffering and going through it silently. Do you have any feedback about domestic violence, or how we can help this young lady, or, what's her next steps? Because she's afraid. So do you have any intake on that?
Absolutely. First and foremost, let me say thank you. Being a domestic violence survivor myself, thank you so much for continuing to bring awareness to it, because a lot of people are suffering in silence, and not just women, men, children. It affects our community and communities as a whole.
Yes.
I will tell her this, that I understand the fear, and fear is not always based on fear of physical abuse. Fear is sometimes based on the fact of you have children with the person. Fear is sometimes caught up in the fact that you've been with that person, that it's the only person you know.
Yes.
It can be based on financial reasons, So I will definitely say, especially if it's physical, please get out. I almost lost my life to it. Have nothing negative to say about my ex-husband. He was my childhood sweetheart. I just think that because our community suffer with not only domestic violence, but we suffer with mental health that we don't want to deal with. And sometimes domestic violence stems from the mental health that we have not actually gotten help for. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's so many resources out there for her. I don't have to know her name, but if any way I can help, I will. And I will say I've been able to help so many people unaware just by telling my story.
Wow.
but I will definitely say, please get out before, like, if you ever, I don't know if you've ever had the experience, but one thing that really like settled in my heart was during my situation, it was right there at COVID, but I had to go through counseling and everything. And I'm so much a proponent of counseling and therapy. I think it's something that we all need, just like we do our annual physical.
Right.
I went over to that domestic violence house and they had a table setting. And I was like, oh, what a beautiful setting. It was near the holidays. What a beautiful setting. And they said, those are the people that lost their lives. And I broke. It broke. It took everything that I had to hold up at that time, because I knew that I would have lost my life had I not run. And so I will say, if she is in danger, get out.
Get out.
Immediately. Don't second guess it.
Yeah.
Don't wonder how you're going to take care of yourself. God will provide that, but
Yes.
get out. Get out.
Yes. Yes.
If you got kids,
Woo.
like whatever. And if there's anything I can do, again, Coco, you don't have to tell me her name. You don't have to tell me anything, but I will help through you in any way that I can, because I know that oh so well.
Yes. Yes. And this, you know, I've had someone on, I think it was one time last year, this young lady that was on in the same situation, domestic violence, and her husband ended up shooting her in the face, killing her parents in front of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you, when she came on this show, and it don't even look like they did an amazing job, you know, with her face. I mean, it don't even look like she been anything, but she told a story, and you know, and I just commend people to share their story, because again, that's how we can help someone else. And you know, the physical is horrible, it's terrible, but me being in a mental state of that, the mental abuse is just as worse.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, the words can tear you down. It can mess up your self-esteem. You know, you don't want to go out. You don't want to be around people. And it's real. It's a real thing. And prayer works. I'm telling you, prayer works. So, you know, thank you for that. And we're definitely going to talk, you know, offline, because I'm definitely an advocate of helping and getting the word out there, spreading the word, and what we can do to help our sisters and brothers and the children. And I didn't realize, Jenna, that children, you know, was going through it so bad, you know, with the domestic and the mental health away. I didn't realize that.
Oh my God. It's really challenging out here. I talk to so many teenagers, and I've had friends that have lost their kids to suicide as 15, 12. I mean, they're suffering because you know, and as adults, we think that sometimes when we're talking about domestic violence within the home, right, we're thinking that sometimes, staying together, because that was my thought. He's not beating me, so staying with him is gonna, at least my kids are getting a 2-parent home. Oh my God, when I tell you, one of my sons actually told me, he was like, Mom, you really screwed us up staying in that situation. You think that broke me?
Wow.
And I told him, I said, well, that's why we're all going to get counseling. You know what I mean? Like, because it has to come to a point now that you're growing up and you're going to have a family, right? That I want you to be a full man. I want you to be a whole man. And that has always been my prayer. God, fill in the voids where I have lacked, where their father have lacked, because I want them to be whole. I don't want it to be a cycle. But you have to know that word of prayer in order to pray that.
Yes. Oh, I felt that. That. Wayne, let me ask you something. And I know I know you've been listening here. I just want to get your perspective on domestic violence, or something that you can say to the men or women to, you know, to let them, they don't have to go that route. You understand what I'm saying? So what's your intake on it, Wayne?
Number one, I think it's important that they understand that they're not in it alone.
Absolutely.
Number two, understand that you don't have to stay. Whatever you have to do, whatever methods you have to go about trying to do it, sneaky or whatever, get out as quick as you can. And that's easier said than done for most people.
Yeah.
One, also, first of all and foremost, if you have friends, Trust in your friends. Use them as your backbone. And
Yeah.
communication is the major key. If you're going through something, talk to a family member, talk to a friend, and let them know, hey, I'm going through these experiences right now. What
Yes.
can I do to help you get out of the situation that you're in? Number two, trust God.
Mm.
Okay? Because if God doesn't know, he can't help you. Closed
Woo!
mouth
All right
don't
now.
get fed. Okay, so you got to speak it into existence. And sometimes we as individuals, not meaning black nor white, we sometimes get closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't ask or we don't seek what we need when we
Yes.
need it the most. We
Yes.
wait till, and I'm about to pick about 2 seconds and I'm shutting up.
No, go
Sometimes
ahead.
we wait. Sometimes we wait until we get ourselves into a situation, or we're backed into a corner, or we're in prison until we decide to call on Jesus. Sometimes we need to call on him every day
Yes.
because the
Absolutely.
reward in the end is better than what you're going through right now. We
Thank
all go through trials and tribulations, but if we call on Jesus,
Ah,
come on now, I don't
all
think y'all
on them.
heard me. If we call on Jesus,
Yes.
he will pull us through.
Yes.
Yes.
But sometimes we have a lack. We don't call on them. We
Yeah.
wait. Why are we waiting?
Yeah.
Okay, because every day is a celebration when we're in the glory of God.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
So you first, it's about communication. Two, it's about trusting God and knowing that He didn't leave you here nor forsake you. He
Oh.
didn't bring you
Amen.
this far to leave you nor forsake you.
And you know, I'm so glad you said that because I want to say, you know, for someone out there listening, you know, when Wayne said, you know, you need to pray, you need to say something. I know sometimes you're scared, you know, out of fear of your family, because the first question you probably ask yourself is, how did I get here?
Yeah.
How did I let it go this far? So now you're embarrassed. You don't want to say anything because you embarrass your family, your friends. And I just want to say to you, it's never too late. You
Mhm.
know, embarrassment, don't worry about that because again, God got your back. Why stay in something that you know that's going to cause you danger?
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
the mind. So you have to train your mind. And the way you train your mind is, as Wayne's saying, pray. You pray until
Absolutely.
something happens. You pray before something happens. You know, because God knows, you know, He's not going to leave you in something where it's, you know, trying to terrorize your life. He's not going to do that. But He's waiting on you to open your mouth.
But you know what Coco, and I want to say this to your audience for those of you because I have experiences. So sometimes when you haven't experienced something, you don't really like it's it's easy for us to say pray. Sometimes you're so exhausted and you've prayed and you're just like, okay, I haven't heard an answer. I will say, please do not allow yourself to be isolated because that's one of the tactics of the dysfunction of domestic violence as well. It's the isolation and the
Yeah.
embarrassment. And once you get in that space, it is hard to dig out, right? And don't and another thing is try your best not to normalize because we have a lot, even us as humans, right? I mean, just daily, sometimes we'll see a red flag and we'll change it to pink or green or whatever color, right? but but when you see that first red flag, know that red flag is a red flag. It is not green. I mean, I'm so serious because we will normalize things. And then
Yeah.
that's when we get in the situation and we're like, well, how did we get here? But it was so many things that lined up to us getting there.
So many red flags. I'm so glad you said that. I've done that before plenty of times. Red flag, there it is. Oh, well, it'll turn green. Oh, it's green. Oh, it's, no, it's not. It's red. It's still red, but guys, we're laughing, but we're serious about this, and
Yeah,
we can say this and talk about it because of some of the things that we've been through, and we just do not want you to go through the same thing.
absolutely.
Even with mental health, I mean, it's real. The mind, this mind is something else. The mind is something else, and when you don't have your mind trained, and when those thoughts gets into your mind, anything, can happen. You find yourself doing things that you don't want to do, which kind of leads into my next segment. With what was going on with you, Jenna, with the domestic violence, everything was going on, how did you still cope to get everything done that you need to get done? You still continue to, with your kids and, working and doing things. How was that for you? How did you do that? I mean, what was your train of thought thinking as you was processing everything?
I couldn't die like this. What Wayne said, basically, like, I grew up in the church, right? And thank God for that. So God was so ever present there.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is even prior to the end, like, he was already preparing me unaware. I didn't even realize it, but he was already preparing me. I had started watching TV. I had started fasting for my marriage. I started watching TV for a year and was only listening to like inspirational shows. Bishop Jakes. Yeah. If I ever see him, like, since this has happened, I'm going to let him know that you are the one that got me through. Like, honestly. Yeah. And looking at my boys, like, knowing that they've always looked at their mom as strong and this strength. And, they were in college and I was like, okay, I can't die because it's more than me. Like, if something happens to me mentally, emotionally, and they actually see this, it's going to destroy them. And I already felt like they had gone through enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what motivated me, because always, it's always a why, right? To everything we do. It's always a why. And if you can really like focus in on that why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And especially when your why is a child, nothing can, you know what I'm saying? Or bigger than that, your why is God and the purpose that he's called you to.
Yes.
And you can really dig deep and understand that I gotta do this because it ain't about me. It's not about you, Jenna. You hurting right now, but he gonna get the glory.
Right. Oh, God.
And when you get to that,
yes.
When you get to that, but it's getting to that. And the only thing that like really makes me want to like push more for this domestic violence and mental health is because it's people that don't have what you and I have. It's people that don't know God. That's why they got to hear your show.
Yes.
It's men out, especially Black men out here that's suffering so much in silence. Because they were raised not to talk about it, not to tell anybody. So your show is so relevant and important.
Oh my God. Oh my God. To God be the glory. I was just talking to Dr. Kenya Wallace day before yesterday about that, about the silence of men. And we're putting something together that she's going to be on the show talking about that. But, Wayne, I want to ask you something, since Jenna said that about the silence in men. Why do you think men silence themselves sometimes or afraid to open up?
We don't communicate. We don't talk. We hate going to the doctor. These are general things that you hear constantly from a man's point of view.
Yeah.
We silence ourselves. We back ourselves in corners. We feel like we're unappreciated. We feel like we're less of a man if we speak up.
Wow.
But we have to stop that. As a man, we have to challenge ourselves to want more and want better.
Yes.
Unless we speak up, the violence is going to continue. We have to challenge ourselves to step forth and be that first one to say, hey, this is where it stops. The cycle breaks on me.
Yes.
But until you do that, the cycle is always going to continue.
Yeah.
We as Black men, we have to challenge ourselves to speak up.
Yeah.
Be loud, be voiceful. If we can be loud at football game, why can't we be loud when things are happening to us and to our bodies?
That's right.
We have to challenge ourselves to do better and want better for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Oh, I felt that right there.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times with some men, I know I was talking to a young fella. He was like, well, I'm just like my father. My daddy did it and his daddy did it, so I'm going to do it. And so I just, I just let him talk and, go on. So at the end of the conversation, he said, I am my father's child. And he walked off.
But see, if you don't break the cycle cycle. And if you don't break the chain, it's going to continue.
Yeah.
It's a generational curse.
Yes.
So when does it stop?
Yes.
When do you decide enough is enough? It's time for me to stop doing what I've been doing,
Yes.
and let's try something different.
Yes.
That it just might be this time through me that I decide to break this curse, to break this generational gap, so to speak.
Yes.
And it has to happen, and it starts with communication. It starts. We as a Black union, we don't like going to therapy. We don't like going to, talking about stuff. We don't like going to the doctor. We don't want to hear the bad things. We always want to hear the most important things about what we're getting.
Yes.
But you never want to find out about the things and stuff that's happening to you. Yeah. And it's about communicating. We have to communicate better.
Yes. And that's why I think that the counseling, going to counsel is important. Before we didn't think that was important. No, I don't want to do that. I think it's very, very important. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want to call it. You need to talk to somebody. Because
Absolutely.
As Jenna said, being isolated or holding stuff in, and I'm guilty. I'm just being transparent. I'm guilty of that sometimes. Holding things in, not saying anything, not getting it out because of the trust factor. Jenna, help me on how, the trust factor, trusting someone. I've talked to people before and, they didn't keep, you understand what I'm saying? They didn't keep it. They talk to other people or it's just hard to trust people. So I feel like, okay, well, I'm just going to deal with this. Me and the Lord, I'm just going to deal with it. But that's not a good way to deal with it. How do I open up my trust factor to people and begin to trust again?
I can tell you what I'm doing, what I do, because, and I can't base it on nobody but my own self, because that's something I've been intentional about as well, right? I have 7 brothers. I don't have any sisters. So I have I have trust issues with women. And so I have to be intentional. Like I'm talking to you right now doing this show, right? This is a big step for me, believe it or not, because I don't do a lot of talking to women. But this year and the end of last year, actually, I made sure I was intentional about the people that God placed in my life that were women.
Yes.
So I'm slow with it still.
Yes.
But I think it's something you have to be intentional about if that's what you want. That's the only way that you're going to overcome that. Just like fear, right? So if you're afraid of heights, you can't overcome fear by staying on the ground all the time. You got to do something that's going to challenge that's the height. That's so, right. I just say, you can, I think that the Holy Spirit is with you. I think that within you're just gonna have to stop overriding that. Like when if it's like she only good to go to lunch with, then you just need to go to lunch. You know what I'm saying? Stop saying, I can share what's going on at home. Yeah. When God told you she only good to go to lunch. Sorry, I'm just saying.
That's so true. That's true, because he give us that discernment. We already know, but again, like, okay, here we go again with that red light, green light, that red flag.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Oh, Dr. Scott. Yes, Dr. Scott joined us. Hi, Dr. Scott. It's so good to see you. Did you hear our conversation? We've been having a wonderful conversation and perfect timing.
Yes. Perfect. I have been listening to it, and I'm telling you, even to hear my sister just sit here and talk about not trusting women, I said, ooh, what a powerful statement to make. Yes. So just really tuning in, listening to everything, the wisdom that Wayne even brought forward. And look, you guys called my name when my husband was bringing me a drink. I was about to drink a strawberry protein drink, and I'm like,
go ahead. You can go ahead and do that. Go ahead. But Jenna, thank you for that. I didn't even know I was going to open up and say that. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm glad that I did, because again, it's back to the discernment, knowing that, who you can trust, or just kind of making yourself available, say, okay, this is what I want. this is what I'm gonna do. And Dr. Scott, I heard something that you said, and I'm going to introduce you in just a second for people that's listening. But while we on this, I heard something that you said about helping us get out our own way. That right there.
That's it.
We tend to get in our own way. Sometimes I look in the mirror like, Coco, what you doing? Get out the way. Can you talk? Can you talk to us about that when you say, you want to help women get out their own way to do what they need to do for their journey?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I've been through quite a bit throughout my life. And we all have our stories. We all have different things. One thing that I can say is, as we're born and um, we're living our lives right now. The enemy knows how. I just kind of spoke this. I did a live not too long ago, but I talked about how the enemy would literally come in seeking to sow seeds into your life to pretty much destroy you. So,
Ooh.
and it begins young. So
Mhm.
when I talk about that, my thing is there's so much that happens. And I talk about him being that whisperer, you know,
Mhm.
that could take place, something someone has said to you, something that's been done, and you will meditate on it and you will think about it, and that's what he wants you to do, but he don't want you to talk about it. And
Ooh.
as my sister is talking about with abuse, I liken it, it's the same thing. An abuser wants to keep you silent. They want to
Mhm.
separate you. They don't want you talking to people and letting people know. They don't want people to see you, so they want to
Mhm.
keep you hidden. So the
Mhm.
enemy will come and he'll speak a thing to you, and he'll talk, but he don't want you to tell nobody.
Yeah.
He'll
Mhm.
whisper things to you, talking about you, how you are, how he wants you to view yourself, but he
Yes.
don't want you to say anything. And as long
Mhm.
as those seeds are hidden, they're watered, they're fertilized, all of that, it
Mhm.
grows, it becomes an immobilizer. So what happens? You're in your way. You're in the way of your destiny. You're in the way of your future. You're in the way of the things that God wants you to do because you've tuned into a voice that's telling you lies. So when I
Mhm.
talk about wanting to help women move and get out of their way, my tagline is exposure brings closure. So let's expose the thing. Let's talk about it. Let's put it
Yeah.
out there.
I like
Let's
that.
expose what you're doing. Let's talk about how you treating me, dealing with the
Mhm.
enemy. That's
Yes.
the fight. And I love it. I give God glory because even for me going through my life, little girl, I mean, like I said, everybody has their story. I just went through rejection. I wasn't liked. I wasn't liked because of my complexion. I get on the school bus, little girl, elementary school, maybe first, second grade, somewhere along in there. And they talking about me, wouldn't let me scoot it over, wouldn't let me sit down. They didn't like the fact that my mother straightened my hair. I
Mm.
had nothing to do with that. She didn't ask my opinion. She just said, "Come sit down here on this kitchen floor," while she put that on the stove and she did my
Yes.
hair like she wanted to do my hair. But they
Yes.
didn't like it because of that. But I never told anybody. So that's a seed.
Mhm.
And I remember
Mhm.
that one little girl looked at me and just slid over and motioned me to come to her. So maybe a fifth grader, I don't know. And I sat down, but I didn't talk to anybody about it. And I grew up with those types of things happening throughout my life to the point
Yes.
of I had now expectation. So I'm
Yes.
expecting to be mistreated. I'm
Mm.
looking for it to happen. And a lot of times that brings on the acceptance. But it wasn't until I really began to try to find out, why do I have such low self-esteem? It wasn't until I got
Mhm.
to my 40s. Why is my self-esteem low? Why don't I have the confidence to be sitting here on the Coco McMillan show? It would
Wow.
be things like that I would deal with. And it wasn't until I began to identify uh, those things being imparted into my life that I was able to do something about it and pretty much push back and rise up to be who it is that God has called me to be. So I begin to get out of my way.
Oh
And
my
this is
God.
the thing too. The Lord actually told me one day, He said, I need you to get out of my way too.
Mm.
He has purpose. He has purpose. There's things that He wants us to do, but we're gonna have to line up.
Oh,
Absolutely.
oh my
Absolutely.
God. It's something that you said. You said, I am strong because I know my weakness. I'm beautiful because I'm aware of my flaws. I'm wise because I learn from my mistakes. That tore me up. Can you talk about that a little bit more? That took me, that part. It took me in. So let's talk about that a little more.
Well, and I'll say this again, this a scripture of all things working together for our good.
Yes.
So going through the mistakes that are being made,
Yeah.
identifying and coming to understand, who I am to walk in it. It makes me, I'll say this too. I don't know if you all are you familiar with the law of polarity? But
Law
the
of
law of
polarity.
polarity basically, law of polarity. Come on now. The law of polarity is there's a up, there's a down, there's an
Yes.
in, there's an out. So there's always opposition. The only thing anything can be in existence
Yes.
is an opposite to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what it is.
That's right.
That's it.
So
Come
with
on
that
now.
said, you have to understand that if something telling you ugly, then Lord knows you must be beautiful. Okay, you have to make a decision as to what you're going to take ownership of. Again, we're in a world that's fallen. The enemy comes our way. He has a desire to speak the lie, but the truth is there. When God, Ecclesiastes 7:29 talks to us about how God created us. He created us and he made everything perfect. Catch that.
That's right.
Yes.
He made everything perfect, but then he says now there's choices that you make that gets us off the path. See,
Yes.
that's what's been happening. So the perfection is there, but the opposition speaks.
Woo.
And when he does, he was like, no, I want you to believe this. And you say, no, I'm going to stand on the truth. So whatever the enemy is bringing, God has already given us truth. It's a matter of you coming into alignment with that. That's what I want my sisters to know.
With that truth.
I listen to my sister Gina right here. I listen to her. She's sharing her story, the things that she's gone through, the things that she's had to endure, all of that. But she stepped away from it and stepped into the truth. She's moving ahead. She can sit here now and talk to us. She can expose a thing because her posture has straightened up some. There's a that she's in. And when you do those types of things, it's a breaking that takes place for many.
Preach. Oh my God.
Oh God.
All we have to do is hear the testimony. And it's
that breaking. It's that breaking. Speak on it. Oh my God.
Yes.
Breaking.
The breaking.
It's the breaking. It's the breaking. They think they pull together. What is it? The 80s called it the break dance. Come on, we've been doing the break dance in the church all the time. Okay, you might not have understood it that way, but that's what it is. Sometimes things happen. You get to shout, and there's a breaking that's going on.
That's a breaking. That's
what we're gonna do. And I give God glory for that.
Oh my God, that was good right there. And I guess it leads to, when you talked about comparison, how we sometimes compare ourselves to other people, or you saying that, yeah, it's good to like them. They're phenomenal in what they do, but we have something else, so we can't compare ourselves to other people because God has given us our talent, our gift, and we're who we are. Don't envy that person. Yeah, they're phenomenal, but you got something too. So we got it, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
We got it.
All part of the body working together.
Oh, all things work together for the good.
Well, I give God glory. I tell you, none of us walk around every day, and I love it. One of my most favorites, it's not a scripture, quote is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Comparison is the thief. And that's what happens when anybody knows if I'm a compare, you'll tell something's going on. I guarantee you a lot of people, anybody who goes into a state of probably comparing themselves, and then all of a sudden their energy is off. And they could go around and it's like, what the world got me feeling this way? Comparison oftentimes would be the onset of that, if that's something somebody's dealing with. But I think about even in the word, y'all, when he talks to us, the Lord gives us the word as to how we're the body. Everything has its part. Have y'all ever had our hands fuss out your feet or look at your feet? And have we ever had our eyes get mad at our ears?
Right.
Everything got a part to play.
Everything knows its position, right?
When it comes in together, it's just like, you doing your girl, you got you. And if there's ever a time, if my arm is locked up, if for those who I know who have been born and they may or had some type of decapitation or something, but they don't have, then I might have to reach down and do something different that my feet would normally do.
Right.
Because that's how we work together.
Ooh.
And that's how we're there for each other. And
That's
how
good.
we have to back. So there's nothing that God has not established for us in this world that doesn't apply not only in the spiritual, but in the natural. If it's a principle, it's a principle.
Whoa, it's a principle. Preach, Dr. Scott. That's what I'm talking about. And this is what I love. We coming together, sharing this information, this knowledge, this wisdom, phenomenal, just for those out there that's listening, this is Dr. Scott. I mean, I didn't get a chance to introduce her, but just to tell you a little bit about her, she has her honorary doctorate in philosophy from Trinity International University. She's a certified speaker through the NBC University. She's the host of the Upgrader Show, which we want to talk about in a few minutes. She won the 2020 Impact Magazine honoree. She's a co-author of 4 books. I think she has a book out that's now. She is the founder and the author of She Decided to Love Herself, which I absolutely love. Multiple 7-figure club earner in the direct sales company. Dr. Tanya Scott has done it all. And I'm so glad that she took the time today to come out to share some information with us, her journey. Dr. Scott, can you talk about your book that's out now and some of the things that you're doing that we could connect with you?
Oh, absolutely. All right. So I have one here with me now. Well, first you mentioned She Decided to Love Herself. Yes. She Decided to Love Herself is in process right now. I'm actually looking at they just sent over this week the actual book for me to do my final review of, to make sure that everything is okay and that it's ready to be published. But even then, I've already got my first name and everything.
Yes. I love it.
Right? Intentional is when you see my book cover. Now, this is my conversation camp notebook from my last camp. We'll talk about that, but you see how pretty and delicate that is, and all of that. It's really nice, though there's so much power that comes. Well, the book She Decided to Love Herself kind of has that nice, soft, feminine feel. Yeah. I need that a little bit bold.
I love it. I want a shirt right now.
I do too.
You got to be a little bit bold, but still give me that little feminine flair.
Yeah, I love it.
Making a statement. So even much of what we've been talking about today, everything that you guys have been talking about, that's a big part of it. So what I've done, I do have a book now. It's a 30-day. It's affirmations and journals. So what I do is I give you an affirmation and then I expound on it and just talk a little bit. And then we're going to do some applications. So there's a journal attached. I'll ask a question. Some is like, go ahead. One, I get you to write it down 5 times. And then I want you to answer this question. Or I want you to finish the question out so that we can apply. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. So it's a matter of you hearing a thing, but now I want you to digest it. Powerful. I would read it. I called my daughter in one day when I was writing. I said, babe, read this. She said, oh, that's good. I said, that's good, ain't it? It was good to me. And this is because I went back and looked at it later. But I was just like, oh my God. I want you to take ownership of who you are. So that's She Decided.
Absolutely.
It's a matter. Some people don't know it's okay to love yourself. Some people would think it's selfish, but it's not. Let's go back even to the Word of God, because even in the Word of God, it talks to us about love, but you can't give what you don't have. Yes. If you need some money and I don't have it to give it to you, whatever you give, you can't give love without being loved. You can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself.
That's
right. Can't pour from an empty cup.
So let's make a decision.
Yeah.
Because it's going to make all of us a much better person. It's going to make us
absolutely
called to. That She Decided is coming. It's coming. It's coming. Y'all stay connected so you can get it.
Yes.
Y'all see my girls?
I see it. Shine.
I have that.
So I had 19 women to join forces with me to do the first volume of Shine. And we've also so there were some of these ladies who actually joined me and did a documentary and sharing their story. So that's on my YouTube channel. Some people even reach out about possibly getting on network. So we'll see. But right now, I have it available for everybody. Okay.
That's good
And
stuff.
be featured really soon, even in a magazine that's London based, out of London. So this is about to happen too, and I'm so proud of them.
Awesome.
But it's an anthology of healing. They share their stories. All of this is, I go back to the word. He says we overcome by what?
Our
His
The
testimony.
word of our testimony.
our testimonies. So there's overcoming for them and then whoever reads. So the different things, even you mentioned and talking about being abused, I think about my sister right here. She shares and talks about that. And I can remember her even sharing with all of us how she was, the abuse happened to the point of just being disfigured, and the doctors told her family she will never look the same again, and we're gonna have to do a reconstruction, so she's not gonna look the same. But God,
But God. But God.
and she looks the same.
Oh,
So God,
see?
okay, but she went through that. That's just
Yeah.
one of the stories. There are so many and it hit so many different things, but they did what we talk about. Exposure brings closure. So I will be doing a volume 2 for those who are interested in joining forces with me, to share another story. This is my purpose. You opened up with it, my sister Coco. You opened up. Tanya, what are you doing? What is it that you're talking about, helping women? This is a help. So this is a part of me even pulling women up. There's a lot of women who was like, I never thought I would be sharing this, but they did. And story. So that's one. And my whole thing is called, I call it Soul Therapy Collectives. And what's your soul? Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions.
Yeah.
So think about everything we're talking about, how you think, what it is that you do, how you behave, your emotions, let's get those in check, those types of things. So here's Shine. There's She Decided. And then I also have Conversation Camp. And I actually have a conversation camp that's coming up the end of February. That's powerful, y'all. And what I do there is very intentional. I keep it small. The first 3 I hosted right here in my home. I have typically no more than 25 women. Sometimes they can I come? I said, well, just come on anyway. So I've had as much as 30, but I keep it really small. It's up close and personal. We're in here together and women can share. I'm listening to my sister's story. You're hearing the things that I'm talking about. This is what you can come with. Now, is it just everyone coming and booth sharing? If you don't want to share right now, it's okay. Just listen. It's an impartation that takes place. God meets us there in the room. I bring in speakers, powerful women. You got to go to my page and just see who's with me now. They were with me at the last camp. I have not had one camp where there hasn't been a woman standing in front of you where she's sharing her own story, but then also the movement happens. The Holy Spirit speaks. The prophetic happens. This last time, many times we've had supernatural experience. There was an feather that even fell at the last conversation camp. Right there, we sit, and I'm like, oh my God. And it falls right there on the lap of one of the sisters who was present.
I believe it.
Of things. And I had it only for one day. This last time I took it to Lake Norman, which is a lake right here in North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte. And so we're in a lake home, and everyone comes that day, and I extended it from 1 day to 2. Can I tell y'all something? We were there. They get there that morning on Saturday all day. We eat all that good stuff, everything, the speakers that come up that's imparted. It was time we were going to take them out on a boat ride. Honey, didn't nobody want to get up. We had our own boat ride sitting right up in there, but we was all in there together. So we done paid for a boat that we never rode in. Okay? Come on now. It was like, here's my point. And then they come back Sunday, beautiful brunch, gonna do that again. And we did another speaking engagement. The impartation and what happens is phenomenal. God, you just wait till you see it. And so when we were leaving, it felt like we had been there 2 weeks, not 2 days.
Wow.
Felt like. And I remember when we were driving off, people were like, they said, even my daughter, she was with us. She said, I feel like I'm driving back into like world, like we're coming out of heaven. That's how it felt.
Mm.
Absolutely amazing.
Mm.
I keep it up close and personal like this, so that, so that everybody has access. What are you saying, Tanya? There you are speaking, Coco McMillan in the house, and you impart and you drop my sister, Gina. She's there. She is. She brings it.
Yeah.
But now they need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And what makes this so good is you weren't there on stage where an impartation takes place, but now you exit stage right.
Woo!
And I don't have access to you. In this atmosphere, there's access one with each other.
Amen.
When you talk about women coming together and you walk
Powerful.
in, it's like, that's my sister. And you
Mm.
feel it. And it's like all along, that's what has happened at conversation camp. So you basically leave and they're still like talking. They've seen each other. They met Summit for the first time, and they've gone, and I saw her, one did her hair. She's a stylist, and another sister now has gone for her hair to be done by her. I see another one where she flew into Phoenix, Arizona for something else, but they connected. Do you know how much that blesses me?
See?
So
I
yeah,
bet.
it's good. And I'm gonna say this
That's
last time,
good.
I'm gonna be quiet because y'all can see my behind is going when it comes down to this stuff. But I'll say this and I'll be quiet. It's, if you understand this, realize this for all of us. Each one of us is responsible for ourselves. But when you can get yourself together, when you can take ownership of who it is that God has called you to be, and you can step into that person to operate in that role, then what everybody else is gonna get in the world is that person. And when they get that person, that's how we bring the light. That's how we make things better. That's how we advance the kingdom of God, because we're
Amen.
who it is that He's
Yes.
established and called us to be, and other people get to experience.
And he gets the glory.
He gets the
And
glory. Oh,
He gets
Mm.
oh, my heart, I'm just so full right now. I cannot believe we're over our time. Oh my God, we're going to have to get you back. We're going to have to, Wayne, I'm sorry, we got to have to go to a part 3 on this, because this information is so helpful. And to hear my sisters just, talking and speaking, and we're being advocates for each other. We have to be iron sharpens iron, each one teach one. And so that's what it's all about. Dr. Scott, can you tell us how we can get your book, your t-shirts, and all that stuff, how we can reach you?
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Lord, let me look. I got another screen right here. Let me say this. All right. That's bad, isn't it? Okay. So and I didn't even talk about our inner circle. I just mentioned it on the live too. Let me just share that, because we have an inner circle. Everything that I'm talking about, if there's anybody connecting with me right now, my husband and I, we are the upgraders. Our tagline is, we may not know you, but we know what's in you. With that being said,
I like that.
you hear me talking about moving you out of your way. And there's so much that if you know inside, there's more for me. If you're like, I want to get out of my way, I want to know who I am, I want to learn more, I want to understand more about things that I can do, so that I can begin to create, so that I can write my own book, so that I can become a life coach, so that I can do whatever that thing may be. Because even with my sister talking, here's the thing I want everybody to understand. Your life, come on, somebody. Your life, what you live, the things that has happened, that right there can be monetized. I'm 99% sure. But sometimes we don't know how to do that. We don't know what to do. And sometimes we're just afraid to get up and talk about it. Come and work with us. So go to upgradersinnercircle.com. That's how you connect with me there, upgradersinnercircle.com, to be a part of our inner circle. And then if you want shine, go ahead and go to Amazon. I do have some here. If you make a connection with me and you want an autographed copy, send me a message and I'll do that, and I'll send you a link for all of that, and I'll just mail it myself. But you can go to Amazon.com and also get Shine. Remember, She Decided to Love Herself is coming. So just make connections so you will know it's live. And if you want to be a part of Shine, I've had some people already say I'm interested in being a part of volume 2. So we'll be starting that probably really soon. I know, especially with us getting ready to do the magazine. Everyone that's even going to be a part of Shine too, guess what? You're also going to be featured in that same magazine. And the magazine is Her Story Matters. business. Okay. So all of these things are being worked out. Hey, we got to expose some stuff. So that's Shine and Conversation Camp. Go to conversationcamp.com. Now I'm going to tell y'all something. Conversationcamp.com is February 25th and 26th.
Okay.
But our daughter,
I know where she's going.
our daughter, Talia Brianna, has her story alone. I'm gonna do an interview for her, okay? But her story alone is powerful. She just directed a movie, Christmas, for Kurt Franklin. Kurt Franklin's for Christmas, she was the director for that. My baby, 28 years old. Some people, when she's showing up at places, they like, "How old are you? How you get here?"
Congratulations. That's a blessing.
Congratulations.
Such a blessing.
She was just nominated for an NAACP Image Award for directing that movie.
Woo woo! To God be the glory.
Day is February 25th. So I'm like, I got to be there. So we're just gonna find another day for Conversation Camp, okay? But you can still go ahead, conversationcamp.com, probably just a few weeks later. That's all, just maybe I think 2 weekends later is what I'm looking at. But go to conversationcamp.com. There's a video there for you to look at. You'll be able to even get a bird's eye view and get a feel for what was going on and how it is. And register. And even the date change, you've got your ticket, your registration in, because I'm only doing 25 and I had 10 left. I got one more maybe 2. I have 2 more that's coming on board. So really it's 8 left. It's 8 left. So if you're interested, I want you there. People flying in from all over.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Scott. I know we have to get you back for a part 2. Jenna, Wayne, everyone, thank you so much for the information, for sharing that. We're definitely going to go ahead and put it in the chat once we finish the show, so people can reach out to you, buy your product, get your books and all that. But you got to promise me that you'll come back. Will you please come back? You guys, we got to come back. Good.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mark. I know we are over our time. We are going to go ahead and end the show. We're going to come back for a part 3. But I just want to say to the viewers out there, I certainly hope that you enjoyed the show. We have Dr. Tanya Scott, Wayne Booker, Jenna Law. Well, Mark Lee is on there as well now. So listen, we want you to join us next week. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place. As I always say, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him. He will direct your paths. God bless you, everyone. We love you. Thank you so much for watching the show.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Bless you.
God bless.
Folks, we're about to end of the show and end the broadcast.
Yes.
End the broadcast.